It says,
I
yes,
think so.
we
It
are
says
live.
live.
We are
Yes.
live. We've got, it looks like 5 friends with us already, which is excellent. Thank you all for joining us today. This is Melisha Taylor, founder and partner of Muse Salon Collaborative, and Johnny Tran.
Hello. How are you? How's everybody?
What's up?
How you doing?
What is up? Um, so just to give an introduction, Art Speak started actually in December 2000, what was it? 2013, right?
Must
Or
have been.
was it? Yeah, 2013.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That was our first Art Speaks. That was at Thumbprint Gallery 2 in Hillcrest. Thumbprint Gallery is, Johnny Tran is the owner of Thumbprint Gallery. They currently have 2 locations, one being in La Jolla, the second in Hillcrest. So we started off in Hillcrest, and it's really just a gathering of artists and arts professionals talking about what is relevant to us in our community as far as the arts is concerned. And we're bringing artists together from multiple genres, multiple mediums. Even now, we've got a good friend of mine, Ian Clare, who is a fabulous jazz guitarist, pedagogue, and he's in the community of Chula Vista. We've got Johnny Tran, who is a DJ, a business writer, and owner of Thumbprint Gallery, co-owner with Paul Ekdow. And we've got Mark, who is our special guest, Mark Jesinoski, and Alex Dikowski. Did I say those names right?
You did.
Mark comes to us with a background in psychology, and Alex is a visual artist as well as an entrepreneur, co-founder of an app called ArtPin. So we've got a very broad spectrum of talent here. And I'm sure those of you who are listening on YouTube and around the world, many of you have different genres and different mediums that you work in, and we invite you to participate in the Q&A. We do have a live Q&A going on here. Those of you who may not be on Google+, but maybe you're listening on YouTube, you can go on Facebook and send us some little questions as well along the way. So this will be a 1-hour show. And Johnny, tell us about Thumbprint and what's going on with you.
Well, Thumbprint is celebrating our 5-year anniversary coming up next Saturday. So that's pretty fun. We got tons of shows, and we're still doing our thing.
Right on. And just give us an introduction as if we had never heard of you. What is Thumbprint Gallery? What's different about you?
Yeah. So Thumbprint Gallery, located in La Jolla and Hillcrest. We showcase urban contemporary art and lowbrow and pop surrealism and a little bit of other stuff as well. But
Punk rock.
That's us. Punk rock. Sorry,
Lowbrow.
inside joke.
What's up with? Can you break down lowbrow pop surrealism?
Yeah, so lowbrow art was essentially a reaction to academic art styles that kind of focus on installation and conceptualism. And lowbrow art is kind of a populist art movement that just concentrates on influences from street art to comic books to illustration to surrealism and pop art. It kind of takes the headiness out of art, if you will.
Nice. So one thing for me, what I like about Thumbprint is that the art is accessible. The vibe is really, really kind of young, hip. It appeals to all kinds of, people who are maybe super into art and also those who have just gotten into art. So I do like how you bring lots of different types of people to your shows. And you also have shows that go on at Bar Basic every month?
Yep, we have a show at Bar Basic, Pop-Up Gallery, once or twice a month at Bar Basic in downtown. We have a new art exhibition in our La Jolla location every second Saturday and every third Friday in our Hillcrest location.
Awesome. And currently, Muse Salon, just to give you guys a little history, we started off in Brooklyn, New York 3 years ago, and we just moved into San Diego, but we still have our ties in New York. My partner, who's Erin Gleason, she's getting ready to start salons at 5 Miles Gallery in the community of Crown Heights, Brooklyn. For those of you familiar with Brooklyn, right in central Brooklyn. They're going to be having salons there, hopefully coming up soon in October, November of this year. And really what this is a forum for artists of all genres, all mediums to come together to talk about the creative economy. How are we making our art relevant? How are we getting paid? How are we figuring out the bridge between business and art and creativity? And how are we also, staying healthy and having healthful lives with family? Maybe some of us have families like myself, or some of you travel a lot. How are you keeping up with your lifestyle as an artist? Is it impossible? Do you have a day job? Do you hate day jobs? Do you work 16 different part-time jobs? And how does that affect your creative practice? So, hi, Richard.
Hello.
Richard just joined us. Richard, do you guys know Richard?
I do. We met.
Oh wait, did we meet a long time ago, Richard?
I have a really poor memory, but probably.
Okay. Your name looks familiar, so I didn't know if maybe we met, but thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Just curious.
Excellent, excellent.
Right on, that's what's up. So we've got our first guest. Before we get started, Johnny, would you like to make any announcements or?
Yes. Let's go through the upcoming arts and cultural events real fast. So coming up, we got some art and music events on September 10th. We have Gilbert Castellanos presents the Wednesday night jazz jam at 7 Grand in North Park. It starts at 9 p.m. And then September 11th, we have the Alumni Centennial Exhibition at City Gallery at City College in downtown. That's 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. September 11th, we have open mic night at Tin Can Ale House. Starts at 8 p.m. September 13th, Art of Chris Bonney at House of Hair in North Park at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And September 13th as well, 5-year anniversary group art show at Thumbprint Gallery in La Jolla, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then September 13th, Duality's art show by I Gatto at Visual in North Park, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. September 13th, two-fold collaborative work by Lawrence Chitt and Kim Garcia at Disclose on Location in South Park. September 13th, again, a lot of stuff going on that day. Monster Drawing Rally at SD Art Institute presents over 100 artists drawing live with pieces immediately available for sale for $60. September 13th through November 2nd, we have Bright Star at Old Globe Theater in Balboa Park. So that's a theater, a play from the actor Steve Martin. September 19th, Irrelevant Roots, a copycat violence collective group art show at TPG2 in Hillcrest, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's a collective of artists from all over the world who will be showcasing their art for the first time as a group at Thumbprint Gallery 2 in Hillcrest. September 19th, America's Finest, a street photography exhibit at Thumbprint Gallery 2. September 20th, Bulletproof Target Practice with Jennifer Davis, and that's the name of the art show. They're not actually going to be shooting things, I don't think. At Low Gallery in North Park, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. September 25th, Scott Joplin's New Rag, The Life and Times of the King of Ragtime Writers. That's a theater, a play at Mololelo Theater in downtown. It features spoken word, hip-hop, and ragtime music. September 25th, Physics presents Glyphics, a community art show, $100 art competition. I think over 50 artists at the Moreau in Hillcrest, 8 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. September 26th, Terry Matsuoka, Cynthia Lin, and the Blue Moon All-Stars at Lestats in Normal Heights. And then finally we have September 30th, Melon Jolly, an artistic tribute to Tim Burton movies presented by Thumbprint Gallery at Basic in downtown, 7 p.m. to midnight. That's what we got going on in San Diego. That's a lot of stuff going on.
First of all, one thing that I hear all the time is that San Diego doesn't have an art scene.
Yeah, what was that? That was art scene.
Every month, the problem is we don't know that we have an art scene.
Yeah, that is a problem.
We just don't know, and then we're not supporting these different things that are going on because we don't know they exist, and then they end up disappearing somehow. And then it feels like nothing's happening because we don't know. And then if we don't support it, we have to be the ones, especially we the artists, have to at least try to support other art things that are going on, because we want to keep this culture here.
Yes.
So,
and build it and get more culture.
Exactly. All right. So we're moving on to our first guest.
Yeah.
Alex. So Johnny, are you going to ask your questions to Alex?
Oh, you better, because I don't have them on me.
What? Are you serious right now? Okay. Let me pull them up. Talk about your relationship, Johnny and Alex, how you guys first met and
Yeah, how did we meet, Alex? Bar Basic?
Yeah, I think it was through the Bar Basic shows. I live right around the corner and started going to those and attending them pretty frequently and just resonated with a lot of the artists and was wondering who are the people behind those shows.
Nice, nice. And you've been to several of them, right?
Yeah, I've been to several. It's just the artwork that's right up my alley. Met a lot of really great people there, and actually drew a lot of inspiration for what we do at ArtPin, just from seeing the way that you guys have done such great events over at Basic.
Nice. And you have our events listed on ArtPin? Or?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice, nice.
So keep those events coming in.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome. So Alex, tell us, you mentioned today that you are the co-founder of ArtPin. Tell us about your co-partner and about this app and what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started ArtPin with Jesse Hale. He's a good friend of mine. We go way back, and he actually invited me out to lunch one day and sat me down and ran this idea for ArtPin past me, and I was just captivated by it. We've kind of been running with it ever since, and it was created as a response to a problem that we had seen in just art in general here, and that was that there's no shortage of great artwork out there, but there is a shortage of gallery space that it can be shown in. And it's not because the gallery owners just don't want to get that work in there. There's just not enough. There's not enough time. There's not enough space on the walls. So we said, how can we get all of this artwork out of the studio and in front of people to see and appreciate? And our solution to that was, what if we could turn any space into an art gallery? Whether that's a restaurant, a bar, a hotel, even someone's living room or warehouse or loft space. So what we've done then with ArtPin is we've created a community of artists and art lovers and alternative gallery spaces like the restaurants and bars and hotels, people's homes. So we have everybody sign up for ArtPin, and we're going to learn about the artists, what kind of work they make, what's their subject matter, who do they appeal to, and then we're going to learn about the business that signs up too. So what kind of regular crowd do they have that comes in? What kind of shows are we able to do there? Can we hang artwork on the wall? Do we have to bring in easels? So we kind of map the DNA, if you will, of every artist and then every alternative gallery space. And now we'll be able to create these pop-up shows all on the fly, and just pairing up these artists with these alternative venues. How
do you gather that information from the venues?
Yeah, so we have a sign-up process that they go through. They sign up, put in their basic information, and then we'll ask them things like, describe your regular crowd to us, or how much wall space do you have available for us to hang on, or what night of the week works best for you. Nice. So you can start building that profile for what is going to be best for their space.
Nice.
Wow, that is really amazing.
Thank you.
How has the response been so far for this app?
It's been great, and just really fun watching it start to pick up some momentum here. We've organized some pop-up art shows at bars and restaurants in downtown San Diego. We've also done a couple of shows actually in people's homes, which is it's neat to see art in such a unique environment. We'll literally push all of the living room furniture, set up easels, and you have this art gallery in the middle of someone's home. So yeah, really reassuring feedback.
Nice.
We found it's kind of a win-win for everybody. We're giving the artist an opportunity to show their work, and the business who's actually hosting that art show is able to get more people in the door and experience their business. So we're just going to keep moving forward and signing on more artists and alternative gallery spaces.
That's awesome.
Wow. So you kind of have a database both of artists and of potential venues, and then do you go through some kind of process as far as matching the artist with the venue? Like, how do you?
Absolutely. So right now it's Jesse and myself who are curating these shows and putting them together. We do have a vision to open up the curatorial aspect of ArtPin to anybody. So the way we sign up artists and the way we sign up venues, we'll start signing up curators too. So somebody can say, hey, I have an idea for an art show. They can go on the ArtPin and use our database now to start pairing different venues with different artists and creating proposals for art shows that will either happen if everybody's on board, or will not happen if there's just something missing in there. So we definitely want to open up the curatorial aspect to other people too.
Wow, that's amazing. So what originally inspired you to create the ArtPin app?
Well,
like, why an app and not like just an organization, or what, how did you?
Or a website or something.
Yeah, it's a good question. And for us, it was just what medium can we reach out to the most people on? What are people using to communicate right now? What is the easiest and the fastest for them to adopt? And the app craze has been working, in so many other instances. We thought it would just be a good fit for us. Jesse and I have a group of friends that's made up of a lot of artists and creative types, and over the years it's been neat watching them get their work out and exposed to people through these alternative shows. Showing your work at a bar, or having a group over to your house to view that work, and even seeing some of these people turn their passion into a living. That's what they do now, is they get their art out there. They're able to sustain themselves on it. So our big inspiration was letting ArtPin be that same catalyst for collaboration, just on a bigger level, where we can open it up to different venues in San Diego, and essentially any artist that's interested in getting their work sort of out of the studio and onto the wall.
Wow. Excellent. And you're also an artist yourself. How would you describe your art style, and what are your most common themes and subjects?
Yeah, I work in a few different mediums. As of late, though, I've been in the studio making large-scale collages on canvas. And a lot of my work deals with science and philosophy. I work in a series that I call Abstractions of Thought. I've always had this interest in kind of those big unanswerable questions about the universe and mankind and spirituality, the things that really keep you up at night when you start thinking about them. And as I grew up and kept researching these concepts more, you kind of you reach that paradox of the more that you learn, the more you realize you don't know. So rather than just staying frustrated and not being able to shed light on these things that I've been thinking about, I use my art to kind of represent these big universal unknowns. Whether it's a philosophical idea, a scientific idea, I create them into what I call an abstraction of thought.
Nice. Yeah, and I got to see that show. Was that the last show that I saw? Maybe you probably did another show, the one downtown.
Yeah. That was like the first debut of that series, and I've done a few small pop-up shows since then. I think the only unfortunate aspect of working on the art pin project so much is it's taking that much time. I don't have as much time to spend on my artwork right now, but I've been okay with that. Just kind of focusing on the other side right now.
Just cut out sleep.
Yes,
no, that's what you do. That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great segue. How is wearing two hats, being an entrepreneur and an artist, working for you? Are you able to easily fit into both of these roles? And what are the challenges or advantages that you've experienced with both?
I would say for this project in particular, it's definitely been a major advantage. The reason for that being is, with ArtPin, we're dealing with artists, and then we're dealing with the businesses and the venues who are actually hosting those art shows. So the end goal is the same for everybody. We want to have a big, successful art show with a whole bunch of people, and the artists are selling work. But we found the way that we have to communicate and speak with artists, they tend to be a bit more sensitive, a bit more cautious. I've been there myself when I'm getting my work into shows. So, having done shows myself, been an artist myself, it's nice to be able to get on their level and kind of communicate with what's important with them. But then also be able to kind of flip back to the more business side, and you kind of go in and meet an owner of a business, and you have to convince them to open up their venue here and host something they might not have done in the past. So it's kind of nice to have a little experience on both sides there.
Absolutely.
When I lose the balance, that's when you tend to get a little burnt out. If you spend too much time on planning a show or developing the product, iterating the software, whatever it may be, you realize, oh, wait a minute, I haven't done any of my artistic outlet in a while, and it starts to burden you. But luckily, it's been a pretty even balance juggling between the two.
Yeah. What advice then do you have for those who are possibly thinking about juggling the two, or in general for those who are up and coming as artists? What advice do you have to share? I would say for artists, don't be afraid to learn about the business side of the art world. There's kind of that romanticism we put on the starving artist, or the artist who's just so involved in their craft they have no time for the outside world, and they're just locked in the studio working. And I think that having that mentality is great at times. You need to go in and focus on your work, but as an artist, again, don't be afraid to learn how the gallery system works, if that's the route that you want to go down, or learn how to market your art, or how to keep in touch and entice collectors to purchase your art. There's nothing to say that just because you are kind of wearing a business hat that diminishes anything from your artistic side as well. That's right. I would definitely agree with that. Johnny, do you have any other thoughts or questions you'd like to ask Alex?
What philosophies are you interested in as far as your art? You said something about utilizing that kind of different philosophies and ideas, quantum physics. I don't know, what is it that you're interested in?
Yeah, to me, it's how humankind responds to the questions that we at least right now are never going to have any answer to. Whether it's an acceptance of an idea
what's the most pressing question right now?
I'm sorry?
What's the most pressing question?
For me, it's a scientific question of how big is this universe we live in, and what is our purpose here. Again, it's a question that's kept me up for a long time. And I'm sure, a lot of anybody, whether you're a creative type or a business type, whether, you're a person of faith or not, these are questions that are universal to us all. What are we doing here? Where is here? and how do we go about figuring that out? So those are definitely the big ones that keep me going. And again, my art is just a way to kind of respond to that unknown, make a little bit of sense of it, and put it out there that way.
Wow. That's a whole other subject matter right there.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Unless you have some questions for us or some things you'd like to let us know about. Do you have any events coming up, websites, links that you'd like us to know about?
Yeah, we do have a few shows coming up. Another thing we've done on ArtPin is created a community event calendar. So if you go to artpin.com, you can go in and break down all the art shows and happenings, based on the neighborhood and who's exhibiting and what kind of art you're into. So artpin.com, and you can take a closer look at what's happening in San Diego.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Alex, we appreciate your time. We thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
We wish you all the best success with your projects, both as an artist and with ArtPin. Definitely looking forward to attending one of your events in the future, possibly in my house.
Yeah, we'd love to do that.
Cool. That would be really cool. That would be cool. Johnny's house too, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
Dead silence.
Johnny hosts enough art shows.
Yeah. I don't want to take my work home.
Yeah.
I get it. Let's give a shout out also to Patricia Maldonado, who joined us a while ago. She was our special guest last month. Hi, Patricia. Are you still there? It says that she's here, so maybe she's
she's pouring a drink.
Yeah. She wandered off a bit, but Patricia is a great modern dancer and improvisational dance teacher here in San Diego. That was a special guest with us last month. So thank you. And thank you to everyone else who's here with us. This is Muse Salon Collaborative. That's musesalon.org. And we've got Johnny Tran here with Thumbprint Gallery. What is it? Thumbprint Gallery SD.com?
It is thumbprintgallerysd.com. I just want to also say that at the next Art Speaks is on October 5th. We have special guest Rex Edlin. He runs the popular naughty burlesque punk rock clothing brand, and he also operates a creative workspace collaboration called the Industry Showroom in downtown San Diego. And we may have some more featured guests as well. So that's October 5th. Just letting everybody know.
Yes, October 5th. This is a first Sunday of the month event, always at 7:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So feel free and please do tune in next month. And let's go ahead and move on to Mark. Mark, who's been patiently waiting. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Hi, Mark. Mark Jesinoski. It's Jesinoski? Oski.
Jesinoski. Close enough.
Mark, so Ian, not Ian. Sorry, wrong guy. I'm looking at Ian's name. But Johnny, do you want to ask questions this time, or would you like me to continue?
You sound much better than me, so I think you should do it.
Okay, so tell us then how you and Mark met and your background together.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we met.
Put him on the spot.
What was that?
Put him on the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember yesterday. How am I remember that? We met at Bar Basic. He was one of the very first artists I worked with. Pre-Thumbprint Gallery when I first got into the art business, and he worked he was one of my live artists. He just moved here from somewhere, and he just wanted to get into the scene, and he did a bunch of events for me for many years.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sorry, who's that?
I actually.
Okay.
Put the 2 slips in one packet.
Is someone talking to us
No.
or trying to talk to us in the background?
That's some background.
I'm trying to. I'm having a
It's
problem.
alright. We're
pulling
good.
up.
We're good. We're good.
So, Mark, tell us. You have it.
Oh, okay. Well, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Yeah, I got it right here. Well, so first question, sir, Mark Jesinoski. How did you start out as an artist?
How did I start out as an artist in general?
Yeah, in general. Were you always an artist when you were a child, or was it something you decided to do as an adult?
I'll say, I want to say first to play off of Johnny's question that when I first moved to San Diego, I had been in grad school for about 5 years in Logan, Utah, and I had an amazing time in graduate school, but it was incredibly isolating as far as being an artist goes. So when I moved to San Diego, I was so ridiculously hungry to connect with a culture of people that were doing what I was doing. So I did a little art walk up in Hillcrest with more super events. With
Oh
Jill
yeah,
Johnson.
that's right. Now
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
And
Right.
and the 2 blokes right next to me were David Goff and Rich Walker. And we all know David Goff is, got this great show going on up in San Francisco right now. But Rich Walker was talking to me about how to get involved in the San Diego art scene, and he said, "You got to meet this guy, Johnny Tran." So, and as he said that, Johnny Tran was like running down the street.
Oh,
on the
that's
other
right.
side.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So,
Seriously?
anyway, I told Johnny I could paint live, and I had no clue if I could paint live, but I have to be totally honest that between Johnny and Jill Johnson, they completely got me started in the San Diego art community, the stuff they were doing. And there's really no one else that deserves credit as much as those two. So I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
And to kind of expand on that, I grew up in a very rural culture in Minnesota, a very small town, and I had a wonderful community of people around me, but it wasn't exactly the place that would nurture you as an artist. So it wasn't until I moved away from home, I was about 20 years old, that I worked at a coal mine for 2 years in rural Wyoming. And I know that's so completely obscure, it doesn't make sense, but you know what, I didn't really know what I wanted out of life when I was, in my early 20s, late teens. And I think it took moving away from home before I really had a sense of what I valued or what was important to me. So I ended up at this coal mine in Wyoming through a series of events, and it was there that I started being very curious about the arts. And I think if I was to analyze myself and be my own shrink, I would say that I was very, very lonely and very, very isolated at that point of my life. And I think unconsciously I went to art as a way to communicate something that I was really, really struggling with. So art for me started out as just a form of healing and a form of communication. I never started out being an artist because I wanted to be an artist or I thought I was going to ever show art to anybody. It wasn't until about 7 or 8 years later when I was in graduate school that I think a lot of us, we dabble in the arts over many, many years, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realize you've actually created some skill and you've created some work and people are interested in what you're doing. And so for me, I started transitioning from this very insular process of making art to actually sharing that art with people, which I think is a very different process. So I started showing my art in graduate school in Logan, Utah. The coffee shop thing. I did my first group gallery show there. I actually used to show work at a farmer's market in Utah. And I was just at a point where I had piles of artwork in my house, and at some point you got to start showing it, or just sort of indulge in this narcissistic process of making your own art. So I would say I came into it out of necessity, and it became something that was more of a skill for me.
Nice. Very cool. How's the scene in Utah, the art scene?
You wouldn't. It's not the kind of scene that we would think of, like in, the urban environments. But there's actually some very phenomenal artists. I actually think if you really look in the woodwork, you see great artists everywhere. And I know where I lived in Utah, I actually had an artist there that I used to talk to quite a bit, and he was this older guy, old college professor that became an artist. So he gave me a lot of great advice, and honestly, I was so completely ignorant about what the art world was and what the art world means, and I honestly think I still am. And at that point in my career, my naivete really served me well, because all I knew was I really liked to make art, and I really wanted to connect with people, and they served some really meaningful needs to myself. So I just was sort of engaging in this process, and I didn't even know about the art scene or what it meant or what it,
So you've described, so far you've described art as kind of like some kind of helping function of sorts, and I know you work in the field of mental health, and you have a PhD in psychology. What role has this kind of knowledge played in shaping your artwork? Has it influenced the themes or the subject matters that you choose? I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny, I get asked that a lot when I do shows, and a lot of times people say, why would you do this psychology thing if you were just going to be an artist anyway? And it's like they would dichotomize this whole thing, and to me, I think they were really born out of the same desire, which was just a very deep hunger to understand myself and the world around me, and a lot of curiosity, a lot of struggle in some ways, a lot of questions I wanted to answer for myself, kind of like what Alex was talking about. It's I just started digging into a lot of questions I had through my art and through my training as a psychologist. And I saw them as really one and the same process. I never grew up in a culture that really told me I could be a doctor someday, so it was one of those, like, I went to my undergrad and I was like, oh, I did good there, so maybe I can do this other thing, and then I did okay there, and then so you kind of have these series of successive successes, and it leads you somewhere. So I think the psychology, I don't know if it informs me as much as it's just allowed me another medium for getting to know myself and the world that I live in. And I suppose that it did develop a lot of skills and a lot of awareness along the way that I never probably would have gotten had I not gone down that pathway. I guess it opened up a lot of doors for me. It opened up a lot of, it took down a lot of my blocks.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about your question is when I met you, Johnny, and I started painting live at Bar Basic, I was at this place where I was at the end of a very long process of opening up. So I was super open to process. And when I started painting live, that was such a great opportunity to just practice mindfulness essentially in a public sphere and see what would happen. So I think the live painting has been, a lot of people want to put it into this kind of art as entertainment thing. To me, live painting serves a function for me of putting yourself in an incredibly uncomfortable situation and seeing what you're capable of. And also,
did I make you uncomfortable, or?
I think it still makes me, I've done it now probably over 300 times. I've done about 300 events in the past 6 years.
Yeah.
And which actually isn't very many compared to a lot of the artists I know that painted live, like Sean Dietrich, for example. But I think every single time I do it, it's an opportunity to practice working through my fear of being in front of people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's an opportunity to work through my own insecurities, and it brings everything to the surface that I'm afraid of, and it allows me to either fail or execute, and it allows me to connect with people in a way that they would never connect otherwise. So
nice.
A lot of those people that we painted live for at Bar Basic never would have gone to a gallery or a museum or whatever.
That's true.
So it's a really fascinating way to bring people to art, I think.
And to bring people to mindfulness, or to witnessing other people reach mindfulness as well. I like how you mentioned that. That's very cool.
Yeah. And to me, when I think of mindfulness, it's funny being trained as a psychologist. I've really stopped thinking of life as something that needs to be fixed or figured out, or one day I'm going to be really good at practicing something.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, every single day is like going back to square one, and it's about practice. And art is one practice that I do among many other practices. And so to me, there's a simplicity to that process,
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So let's talk about your art. What style of art do you consider that you make?
Oh man,
you can only choose one. Just joking.
Yeah. I'm a postmodern expressionist, impressionist. Narcissist.
Wow.
No,
wow.
You know what?
You need to see a shrink, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll describe kind of what I do first, and then maybe that'll lend itself to a couple labels.
All right.
As part of the work I've done as a psychologist and an artist for the past 10 years, has actually been around this idea of we as human beings like to use language to define reality, and that's amazing in that it allows us to create things like computers and cameras and cars and all this amazing technology. It allows us to communicate through words like we're doing right now, but ironically I think our overcompensation and overuse of language gets in the way of the bigger picture of living sometimes. So at the core of what I do, that's what my art is about. That's why I started doing kind of this work behind me, which is it's really using water as it's being inspired by the movement of water as a metaphor for how we negotiate change and how we adapt as human beings. I really connect with what Alex was saying earlier, a lot of what he was saying. So I always separate art into art as content versus art as process and art as metaphor. And for me, my art as process is actually that mindfulness practice of trying to not allow the language attachment thing to get in the way of creating the work the way I want. In other words, I don't want to say, okay, now I'm going to do a human form. It needs to look like a human form, and a human form looks like this, and it has these dimensions.
Right.
I want to let the process guide the work without being so attached to language and expectation and ideas. That's really this one body of work that just happens to kind of be reminiscent of water, but it's more inspired by water. I think if you think of the essence of water, and I know, Johnny, you and I have talked about Bruce Lee, but water is the most adaptable thing on the planet. It completely empathizes with its environment in the moment. It never tries to flow uphill. It never tries to do anything but adapt to its environment. But ironically, by being completely empathic with its environment, it shapes the world that we live in over time. So for me, my art is about at once being incredibly adaptive, but also being incredibly influential on your environment, which is kind of a paradox, you know.
I like that.
So that's one side of my work, which is the stuff that's kind of behind me. And then the other side of my work is all the live painting that I do. You know, I did it at not Thumbprint, but I did it at Bar Basic, you know, many times. And it slowly became something that was a practice for me. It happens to take the form of human form and figure. When I paint live, a lot of people don't believe me, but I never plan ahead. I never do a sketch and then try to recreate that in a live painting.
Right.
I always want to show up with a blank canvas and just kind of vibe off the people and vibe off the music and allow the painting to be created in that time and place. So for me, it really is a byproduct of a mindfulness practice. But that body of work is really all about using human form and figure to just talk about how we relate to each other and how we find meaning together as human beings.
Right.
I really think, you know, we make meaning through connecting to each other, for better or worse. And so that's the other body of work. So whether you would call that, you know, representational expressionism or representational abstract, I honestly don't. There's so many terms for how we define art in our world today. And I realize we need that as a way to communicate with each other. But I do think it gets in the way of the work sometimes.
I agree. I definitely agree. Cool. So you're doing something at the Oceanside Museum of Art, something with veterans.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that project?
Yeah. So ever since I got to San Diego, I've been looking for organizations that were, you know, what we consider kind of that upper echelon in the art world, like your museums and things like that. And I've been looking for organizations that are willing to connect with local artists and reach out into their local community, as opposed to, you know, just having art on the walls, that kind of bourgeois perspective of art as object on the wall, about something historical. So the Oceanside Museum of Art had this project called the Exploring Engagement Artists in Residence Program, and it's all about selecting artists to do community outreach projects. So a completely separate process that I've been doing the past 6 or 7 years is learning about how we as human beings are affected by trauma. So, you know, how are we affected by war? How are we affected by genocide? How are we affected by poverty? That kind of thing. And so I've invested myself a lot into understanding how trauma affects not just we as individuals, but we as communities and we as cultures and things like that. So I proposed this project to the Oceanside Museum of Art for this Exploring Engagement series about using art as a medium for connecting with veterans and for facilitating healing with veterans. And I should say there's some really great organizations out there right now that are using art in that capacity, like Art's a Reason to Survive does that with underprivileged children.
Right.
Combat Arts, Elizabeth Washburn has a really great program going using art for healing with veterans. So what I wanted to do was not get in the way of what other people were doing, but to create a project where I could actually help organizations and nonprofits create art for healing programs in their local community. So the essence of my project with the Oceanside Museum of Art is, rather than create my own art or my own project and make it about me, which is not what it's necessarily supposed to be about, I'm simply offering local organizations to be a support and a liaison and to help them create a project that will support veterans through art.
That's huge. And does that mean that you're including other artists as well? So how is your program, and how long does it run?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's this whole past 6 months with this project has taught me a lot about how we in the art world, I'll change that, how a lot of times when we propose projects to programs or organizations, we have to fit those projects within a box, and we have to define it by certain terms and lengths of time and things like that. So
Right.
what I'm really thankful for is the museum has been really open to my own process of learning.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, aside from this project being an outreach program for veterans in the community, what I have gotten out of it is it's really forced me out of my own comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's forced me to do something that I really am not comfortable with, which is picking up the phone and calling a lot of people and taking time away from my painting to connect with a lot of people that may or may not be interested in connecting with me. So to answer your question a little bit more concretely, right now I have about 4 workshops set up in the month of October. One is with the UCSD counseling postdocs, so postdoctoral residents who are clinical psychologists like me. Another one is with the counseling center staff at the University of San Diego, and that's taking place next July. I had to schedule it out that far.
Wow.
Another one I'm really excited about is a workshop with the San Diego Art Institute. So Leslie Anderson, who's the education coordinator with the San Diego Art Institute, was really interested in getting involved with this program. So I'm meeting with her in October about brainstorming a project that they can do with the San Diego Art Institute. So the short answer is that I'm trying to connect with people in the immediate next few months that are interested in this topic and interested in art for healing and interested in supporting local veterans. And then, honestly, it's really open-ended, and it's a big idea, but I kind of consider it my life's work, this whole work with trauma and how it affects people and how we relate to people through that. That's something I'm going to be doing for a long, long time, and it's going to take a lot of work to build it. I'm not a very goal-oriented person. I don't look at things as, you know, I want to do this thing in this period of time, and it's going to have this outcome, and then I'm going to be done with it. To me, this project, my value is getting out in the community, getting outside of myself, and connecting with people who want to support our local veterans. And I'll do that as long as people want to use me to help their projects, really. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's huge. Well, we wish you the best with that. That sounds like a really long timeline that you've got, and you got to fit in a lot of different elements and different people. So we send you all kinds of good energy and support.
Keep us up to date.
As you put that together. That sounds amazing. In October, do you have dates, and do you have information where if someone were listening now, if they wanted to help you out, where can they go to contact you and to get involved?
Yeah, the best thing would just be to email me at mark, M-A-R-K, at jesart.com, Jesart.com. And what I'll say to anybody listening is that this project for me is really about coming to your organization and helping you brainstorm and helping you come up with a tangible project and helping you actually execute that project. An event that I'm doing at the Oceanside Museum of Art that would be the best way to get a taste of what I'm doing is on October 15th. It's from 6:30 to 8 o'clock at the Oceanside Museum of Art. And I'll be doing about an hour and a half long interactive.
What?
Hello?
What happened? Oh, something got cut.
Paul, did you accidentally mute?
How did you do that? I didn't know he could do that.
I know. How did he do that?
I have no idea how I did that.
Oh, it couldn't have been Paul.
It says Paul.
I know. I saw that. That was weird. I don't know what's weird. Paul hacked into your computer, Militia. Did you do that, Paul? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He muted him again. How did he do that?
I
Hold on, Mark. I think are you muting yourself, Mark?
No, I'm not even touching the computer.
Paul hacked into Mark's computer.
Hey, don't hack into my computer.
Paul, can you hear us?
You might find nude photos of me on there. I don't want it.
Oh my god.
Okay, go. Just yeah. What were you saying, Mark?
So on October 15th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, I'll be doing an interactive lecture at the Oceanside Museum of Art.
Nice.
And if anyone wants to know about what I'm doing, that would be a really great way to do it. And here's a couple props I'm using. So can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes. I don't know why he's doing that.
He keeps muting me.
I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
That's really odd.
I'm here now.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys. This is really great.
Nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And let's see. Are you still there?
I'm
Hi. Okay, so go ahead. So you said that was October 15th, Oceanside Museum of Art. What time?
6:30 to 8 o'clock.
Awesome. And you're going to do an interactive workshop. What does that mean?
It means that I'm going to use props like these. Can you see these?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm using props, I'm using metaphor, I'm using some really cool little artistic practices to teach people about what happens to us when we go to war and we come home.
Mm.
And essentially I'm teaching people about what happens to the human brain and the human spirit when we are confronted with something like war or combat. And then I'm going to talk about how we can support our veterans through art in our communities. So I think art is a really great medium for engaging people. It's not just about pictures. And I've found, and a lot of people have found, that art, if you can get past the art as object, art is a wonderful way to help people with trauma to open up and tell their story in a way that isn't so threatening. So I've tried to get away from traditional talk therapy, and I haven't been doing therapy for a couple years. I've been just doing art, but this is my way to kind of bridge the gap between my life as a psychologist and my life as an artist. So
Nice.
It's a very good bridge. I appreciate what you're doing, and I hope our listeners will be able to attend your event October 15th and stay in touch with you as you progress with this project. And we wish you all the best success, both as an artist, as a person, as a professional, and in your practice. Do you have, are you also a clinical psychologist? Do you also have clients like that?
You know, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California.
Okay.
But I chose to not practice right now because I'm working on my art career. So I've been doing full-time art for a couple of years. And prior to that, I was doing what we all do, which is slogging away, barely paying my bills, working full-time as a doctoral resident, and then doing my art, painting live and stuff like that. But I continue to keep a dialogue going with the local universities. I worked at UCSD and USD and SDSU. So I think like what you guys are doing, I think it's so important to connect these different communities that we have. And the community of psychologists that I know aren't very well connected to our community of the arts, and I think there's so much potential there for connecting these communities. So no, I'm not actively seeing clients, but I am actively, continually nurturing that part of myself. So
Cool.
Awesome. Well, good luck. All good things for you, Mark. And for all of you listening, do you guys have any questions out there? You're welcome to ask some questions. We have a little Q&A chat on the side here that you can type into. Anyone want to just...
You can say it live. You can say it live.
Yeah, you can say it live, too. Any thoughts, questions?
Questions for anybody. About anything.
Here we go. Hey, I have a question for Alex, actually.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Alex?
Yep.
Yeah, do you guys know each other?
I met you, Alex, at the Art Expo a couple months ago in July.
Yeah.
It's funny how we all know each other in a different roundabout way, but what kind of feedback have you gotten from artists, Alex? Have they given you any support or feedback, or what's been their experience?
Yeah, the support has been good, and I think that the biggest kind of metric that we go off of and kind of a validator for, is this resonating, is just the simple word of mouth, and just watching our user base of artists grow, from more organic sources outside of us just trying to spread the word ourselves. It's just been really cool to see that they're identifying that we exist simply to give artists more opportunity to show their work, and just been neat watching that message get spread by the artists themselves.
Yeah, I think it's really cool what you're doing, and
thank you.
I think that I don't want to sound like an old guy that's saying, when I was this age, I could do this, but what I like to tell artists is, I did over 200 shows before I really started selling anything, and opportunities like you're giving artists and like Johnny is giving artists are so important to build the career of an artist, and you have to throw the idea out the window that you're going to sell art, and you just need to show your art. Just like a band, a band needs to play many, many, many concerts before they're actually a sought-after band, right? So
right.
You have to practice. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking, Alex and Mark, do you guys do other art besides visual art? Are you creative in any other way? Like I see the guitar back there, Mark.
Play a song.
That's just to make me look good. That's
no.
Yeah, no, I play guitar. I would never claim to be a musician in any way. I play guitar for my little girl. I play guitar for my wife. Makes me look good. And I enjoy jamming, but I don't play, outside of the house.
Alex?
Yeah, music was actually my first kind of venture into the arts. I remember getting my first guitar in 5th grade, and that ruined my life for a long time in a good way. Yeah, so got into playing music, guitar, and singing, and did the band thing for a while. Had a great time doing it. But once I found the outlet in visual arts, it was a pretty quick shift for me, actually. That my interest sort of went from music and songwriting into painting and collage and visual art. That's sort of where I found my home, if you will, in the arts.
Yeah.
Wow. So how many years were you a musician before you went into visual art?
Let's see, it was I had been doing like visual art since my parents were sending me to camp, and I would always choose the art classes over the sports classes as a contrast to the rest of my family, which is a whole other story in of itself. But yeah, it was about 5th grade to what would have been the college years of just playing music, and I was up in LA for a while, and that's where I really started sinking my teeth in the visual art scene and going to shows, and it just sort of, one thing turned into the other, and the transition happened. I came down to San Diego and just really got into collage and into painting.
Wow, awesome. Cool. Well, if anyone has any other questions or thoughts, Patricia, Richard, Ian, anyone else on here want to say anything? Any little plugs?
Just a quick question on Alex. How complete is the calendar for art events?
It's a constant struggle, if you will. A lot of it's user-generated shows right now. Some of it is us just trying to go through and put the shows together. So as it stands right now, I'm sure there are a lot of shows that aren't on there that we would like on there. There is a submit show feature too, so if you have anything coming up or you know about something coming up, we certainly invite you to submit that show.
What's the website?
I'm sorry?
What's the website?
It's artpin.com.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat there for everybody. So.
I already did, but artpin.com.
Yep.
Excellent.
And
Thanks.
You can screen share. What are you trying?
I'm trying to share my email so I can keep in touch.
Oh,
with
yeah. What's your email? What's your website, Mark?
My website is jesart.com, but my email is mark@jesart.com, and I would love to keep in touch with all of you and talk about collaborating and things like that. So
Absolutely, we are all about that. So yes, please. Patricia says it's been wonderful to talk to you.
Her mic is not working.
Yeah.
And Paul hacked into Mark's computer. I don't know how.
Maybe you guys are neighbors and you didn't know. And it's like, what is that like share thing where you can like share a computer with someone nearby?
You realize that was a Paul from the Hillcrest spot. You realize
Yeah,
that?
I know.
Yeah, okay. Oh, bummer.
I know. He's very cool. So it was probably a technical issue.
Yeah.
No hacking.
Yeah, no hacking. That's nice.
All right, so it looks like we had a great discussion, guys. I appreciate all of you who came out and either listened or joined in the conversation. My name is Melisha Taylor, founder and partner of Muse Salon Collaborative. That's musesalon.org. You can stay in touch with me also by writing me an email. You can send a general email to info@musesalon.org. And Johnny?
You could get in touch with me at thumbprintgallerysd.com. Don't forget to come to our 5-year anniversary group art show at Thumbprint Gallery in La Jolla, September 13th, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Come on by, no cover, free beer, free wine, great art, fun people.
So that's is that Friday?
It's Saturday, sir.
Saturday, all right.
El Sábado.
Sábado. Oh, when's the Spanish? When's the Spanish? Don't you guys have Spanish?
Yeah. So we do have a Spanish conversation meetup every other month, and then every other month, in between that, we have a Vietnamese conversational meetup group. So you just practice the language that you're trying to learn. So the next Spanish one is in October. But it's always right before the opening reception in La Jolla.
Nice. I like that. Let's develop our languages and cross cultures. And let's see. So our next Art Speaks event, or our next Google Hangout will be October 5th, Sunday, 7 p.m. Same time as always, same hosts, and we will have special guests. Who is it again, Johnny?
It's Rex Edlin, and he runs the popular naughty burlesque punk rock clothing label brand, and he also operates a creative workshop called Industry Showroom in San Diego and downtown. Mark knows him.
I like Rex.
Rex the man.
He's a punk.
Rex. Sounds good. Well, and I'm hoping to get the San Diego Opera to come out and represent and throw the conversation totally different.
Nice.
So we'll see how that works out. We will stay in touch with you as always on Facebook and on our website and on Twitter and on Google+. And thanks again. Johnny, do you have any final words?
No, that's it. Hope to see you guys next Saturday. La Jolla, Thumbprint Gallery.
Bye, guys.
All right.
All right,
Have
thank
a
you,
good
everybody.
night, everyone. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.